The Red Room on Hollow Hill. When Clara Morgan inherited the old farmhouse on Hollow Hill from her estranged uncle, she didn't think much of it. The letter was short. Her uncle, whom she'd never met, had passed away under unusual circumstances, and as his only living relative, the house and the surrounding land now belonged to her. The lawyer warned her about the state of the property, crumbling, weathered, and out of the way, but Clara, recently divorced and without a stable job, saw it as a second chance. She drove for hours into the countryside. The road narrowed, cracked, and finally turned to gravel as she ascended Hollow Hill. The house came into view through a curtain of mist. A two-story Victorian, with sun-faded shutters and a porch that leaned ever so slightly to the right. A black iron weather vane spun slowly on the roof, even though there was no wind. The front door was unlocked. Inside, dust blanketed everything. Furniture, paintings, the banister. An oppressive silence sat heavy in the air, as if the house had been holding its breath for years, waiting for someone to return. As Clara explored, one room caught her attention immediately. At the end of the upstairs hallway was a red door. Unlike the others, which were dull and flaking, this door was pristine. Bright, deep red, fresh, almost wet-looking. There was no keyhole.
No handle.
Just a door. And something behind it. She didn't hear a sound, not exactly. More like, felt one. A low, pulsing vibration in her chest when she stood near it, like a heartbeat. That night, Clara slept in one of the guest bedrooms. Rain began to tap against the windows, then hammer them. Thunder cracked so loud it shook the floorboards. She tried to sleep but was pulled awake again and again by distant whispers, unintelligible yet clearly voices. They seemed to come from the hallway, and from the red door. At 3:12 a.m., she opened her eyes and sat up. The rain had stopped. The room was dark, save for a pale moonlight that shone through the curtains. And that's when she noticed it. The bedroom door was open. She was certain she had closed it. She stepped out into the hallway. Cold. Much colder than it should have been. The old wooden floor creaked beneath her bare feet. Every step closer to the red door made her chest tighten. Her breath frosted in the air. Then she saw it. A small smear of something dark on the wooden floor in front of the red door. Blood. Fresh. She stumbled back into her room and slammed the door, shoving a chair beneath the knob. The next morning, shaken but rationalizing everything. Maybe I cut my foot. Maybe it was just a shadow. Just creaky old house stuff. Clara made coffee and searched the house for anything that could explain the red door. In the attic, buried in a trunk, she found a leather-bound journal. Her uncle's journal. Most of the entries were rants about keeping it contained, the hunger, and something called the hollow eye. The writing became more unstable as the pages went on. The lines less coherent, the pen strokes more frantic. Then one entry caught her attention. March 19th. I sealed it again. It feeds on memory and pain. I hear them behind the door. The ones it has taken. I cannot let it out. I am the last warden. God forgive me. Another entry older. January 5th. The door was painted red to keep it docile. Red like the blood it remembers. The door cannot be opened from outside. But sometimes it opens from within. Clara dropped the book. A gust of wind slammed the attic window shut behind her. The house groaned. On the third night, Clara woke not to whispers, but to silence. Absolute. No rain. No wind. Even the old house didn't creak. Just silence. And then a creak. A long, slow creak. Coming from the hallway. She climbed out of bed, her hands trembling. The hallway was darker than it should have been. She couldn't see the red door at first. Because it was open. Just a crack. But enough. The darkness inside wasn't like night. It wasn't black. It was wrong. Like looking into a space that wasn't meant to be seen by human eyes. She couldn't tear her gaze from it. And then something moved behind the door. A shape. Shifting. She backed away. The door creaked closed behind her as if it never opened. The next morning, Clara drove into town. She needed answers. At the local library, she found an elderly woman named Margaret who had known her uncle. He was a strange man, Margaret said, voice low. Never left that house after his wife disappeared. Clara's heart skipped. Disappeared. 30 years ago. Just gone. No one found a body. People said she ran away, but he never believed that. Said the house took her. Margaret hesitated. There's a story, she said slowly, about Hollow Hill. That it was cursed. A long time ago, a village stood there. Everyone vanished one night. Just gone. All that remained was a door, red as blood, and those who opened it. She didn't finish the sentence. Clara returned to the house. Determined. She had to know what was behind the door. If it had taken people, if it had taken her aunt, then it needed to be destroyed. She took a crowbar, a flashlight, and duct tape. She approached the red door just before midnight. It opened before she touched it. No creak this time. Just silence. She shone the flashlight inside. There were no walls. No floor. Just a black space that swallowed light. She stepped inside. One step. Then another. The door closed behind her. She walked through what felt like molasses. Sound didn't exist here. Only the steady beat of her heart and a strange, high-pitched ringing in her ears. Shapes moved in the dark. Then light. A dim red glow lit a circular room. Walls lined with mirrors. Dozens. Maybe hundreds. But none of them reflected her. Instead, each showed a version of her. Crying. Screaming. Dead. Bleeding. Laughing manically. She reached out to one. The glass rippled like water. A hand shot out from the mirror and grabbed her wrist. She screamed, pulling back. The hand let go. From behind her, a voice. Clara. She spun around. It was her aunt. Eyes wide, mouth stitched shut with black thread. Her hands reached out, trembling. Then Clara saw the others. Dozens. Maybe hundreds. Twisted, broken figures. People who had stepped into the red room and never left. They stared at her with empty eyes. Whispers returned. Join us. We are the Hollow. The door is open now. Clara ran. Through the mirrors. Through blood. Through darkness. Something chased her. Not footsteps but a presence. She saw the door. Red. Waiting. She dove for it just as something cold touched her back. She fell out into the hallway of the farmhouse, slamming the door shut behind her. It locked. This time she heard it. A click. Clara boarded up the door. She called no one. She didn't sleep. Then she sat down at her uncle's desk and opened the journal to a blank page. June 25th. I saw them. It's real. The red room. The hollow eye. It feeds on fear and reflection. The door must never open again. I am the new warden now. God help me. She put down the pen. And from the hallway, the sound of wood splintering.